Hey guys, today I'm here to talk to you about Hobolites, and I've got a bunch of them in the studio. In fact, I'm being lit by one right now. I've got one as my backlight, and I've got the little mini right here. And before we dive in, let's just take a quick look. We'll take a little kind of tour, and then we'll kind of get into my experience with them and what I think. As a photographer, I come from a traditional background of using speed lights and strobes and monolights and things of that sort to light my scene and my subject, and I've been using them for years. I got fascinated by off-camera flash photography at a very early start to my photography career, and it's been something that I've always utilized when possible. And for me, lighting, it's something that I want to be able to sculpt and I want to be able to shape it. You know, I really like using lighting when it's intentional, and I don't like overlighting things as well. This video is brought to you by Squarespace, and you guys know how much I love Squarespace. In fact, I use it for my own website, adamlernerphoto.com. If you guys want to save 10% on your website and domain, use the code ADAM at checkout, ADAM, and you'll save 10%. So one of the things that I wanted to do initially was to kind of see how these lights may work into my workflow, because typically, like for a portrait setup, I would have like a key light, I would have a fill light, and then I might have a rim light or a hair light as kind of like a basic starter kit for doing portraiture. I invited my friend Crystal over, we had the backdrop, I shot a bunch of digitals, I shot some film as well. I used the Hobolite Pro, and I had it doubly diffused. I even gridded it for a while because I really wanted to kind of like get that light, you know, kind of shaped and not have too much spill. And then I used the Avant, and I actually put the Avant in its soft box as well. And I used that as my fill light, and I used it as a backlight or a rim light, a hair light as well. And I thought that the results were really, really nice. I thought the quality was really nice as well. One of the things that I realized about these lights, similar to strobes, is that, you know, to really get that nice quality of light, especially when you don't have a ton of light power, you need to get those lights close to your subject. Another thing is that if you're trying to create light out of nothing, build a lighting scenario, and there's not a lot of ambient light, these lights are not going to have like tremendous power. Now, I'm not dissing these lights in any kind of a way, because that's not uncommon with any kind of strobes as well. When you don't have a ton of power with your strobes and you don't have a lot of ambient light, your lights are not necessarily going to suddenly create room light. If I were in a situation where there weren't a lot of ambient light, I would probably take one of these lights and put the lantern on that light to kind of raise the ambient light. Very similarly what I would do if I was using strobes, I would take a third strobe or monolight or whatever, and I would probably kick it up into the ceiling and add some ambient light to this situation. I would probably do the same kind of a thing with this kind of a setup. So I think that like a 2 to 3 light setup is going to be really a good way of kind of replicating that kind of workflow that you might have using strobes or speed lights in that sense. So once I got that shoot out of the way and got a little bit more comfortable with this lighting, I decided, you know what, let me do something a little bit different. I wanted to kind of be able to really sculpt the light, really push it into areas very selectively, and that's something that you can do with these lights because of the barn doors. With the barn doors and just being able to like move the dials and change the amount of light power and the intensity, I was able to kind of sculpt that light the way I wanted it with relative ease. And the whole idea that I had in my head is that I wanted to shoot the car in the garage and use the window, but accentuate that by creating the sensation of a really nice kind of warm sunlit day with light pouring in through that window. I took the Pro and I had that set up near the window because I wanted to kind of replicate that light source and accentuate it. And I turned up the color temperature to warm up the light, and then I just kind of pushed it on my subject. And initially I wanted to go for that kind of afternoon light when you're driving in the car, and the afternoon light just kind of cuts into the car and just gives you that kind of lighting. And then I decided to continue to play from there. And we moved the car around, and I had, Crystal standing as if she was working on the car, and there was like beautiful backlight while she was working, and I moved the Avant around in that case to give her more of the key light. And then at one point, I even took the little Mini and I stuck it on the roof to put a little bit more light into the car itself to kind of light up like the interior compartment of the engine compartment. And it was really nice because I was able to work with a lot of agility. You know, so for me to be able to just kind of change the shape of the light, change the intensity of light, change the color temperature of light on the fly like that was fantastic. One of the things that I loved about being able to really sculpt the light, you know, with these barn doors is that I was able to push light onto my subject but not have too much spill into areas in the garage that were not interesting to look at. You know, I mean, half the time as a photographer, you're a furniture mover, and believe me, I moved a lot of crap around to try to get this shoot to look halfway decent. But at the end of the day, I feel like I got results that I was really happy with, and ultimately what it did is it unlocked creativity. It unlocked a way of me seeing and doing things that I hadn't done before. For me, I would say like the two probably greatest things that I took away from using these lights so far is that I think that as far as using them as a replacement for a portable kind of strobe light kit where you're doing individual portraiture, and you've got the lights heavily modified to get that nice quality of light, I think you can do so if you're in a fairly controlled environment and you're not trying to fight with ambient light. Being able to like use these lights and barn door them and add gels and grids and all that other kind of stuff to really kind of sculpt and control the light and really push it into places that you want to, I think that the possibilities are absolutely endless, and I'm really excited to kind of take things a lot further and keep continuing to use them in subsequent shoots. If you guys want to learn a lot more about the Hobolite and all of their kind of functions and capabilities, I would suggest going to hobolite.com. The link is below. If you have any questions or comments for me, please leave them below. And that's it for now, and we'll see you soon.